everybody? Welcome back to another installment of the Ask Nico Q&A, where you ask me your questions and I answer them to the best of my ability. If you want to ask a question to me, to comment in the box below, tweet it at me at ScarletMoonNico, or send me a message on the Scarlet Moon Facebook page. Let's get started with your questions here. Right. Akolu21 asks, what are the best aspects / signs to plan a vacation / travel? And what are the best aspects to signs to go on a vacation / okay, that copy and paste. I also wanted to know about the aspects / signs that are currently transiting during the planning phase for travel, since I know it's just as important when you plant your seeds. Akolu, the thing is that there's a difference between geocentric mundane astrology, which is basically like the stuff for everybody, and then the personal astrology. I'm not sure what your chart is. I don't know what your birth date is, I don't know what your rising sign is, so I couldn't really tell you what is good for you, but maybe you have that information. The best aspects and signs to travel in, it's more important to look at houses. Alright, so you want to focus on your 3rd house and your 9th house, and you know, you can also get away with your 11th house as well. You really want to focus on your own chart, not just the signs, okay? Nutty McFreak, is there something in astrology that helps you know what you need to clear / make room for better things in your life? I don't know if there's something in step astrology that addresses that. Oh, what's step astrology? I've never heard of step astrology. Okay, so when you look at your astrology and your personal astrology, there isn't just like one life lesson you go through forever, you know, because the outer planets do shift. They shift slowly, but phases start in your life. I would always say if there's like a life lesson or a recurring pattern, find out what you're learning to do right by looking at the North Node. Alright, wherever that is, that's basically like, oh god, this is just not something that, you know, this individual can do very well. And then look at the South Node and find out what your crutch is. Where a planet is in your chart dictates what's going to be happening there. So there could be stuff to clear just for a temporary period of time, you know, 2 to 3 years. There's just a phase that we're learning. You know, so if, like, say, Pluto's currently retrograding in somebody's 5th house right now, maybe they're learning a lesson about emotionally hoarding too many issues with old relationships, you know, and old relationship patterns. Or maybe it's Uranus, you know, in their 6th house, and they're learning about how to be themselves without being a contrarian and just being erratic for the sake of being erratic. So it all depends really on, I mean, because everything's got their own unique flavor. There isn't really something that homogenizes it, if that makes sense. Yessie6199 asks, how do I know if I'm a rising Gemini or a moon Gemini? Well, you gotta generate a chart for yourself. And so my best advice would say go to a free astrology generator like Astro.com, cafeastrology.com. You can put in your coordinates, and to find your rising time, you have to have your time of birth, okay? If you don't have your exact time of birth or within 15 to 20 minutes of it, it's not going to work. So you have to know what that is. So maybe you got to check your birth certificate. You know, if it's like, well, it's between 1 and 6 p.m., that's way too broad a time. So we need to know a little bit better. 1 to 1:20, hey, it's the same rising sign, not a big deal. But if you know, if it's any more space than that, you got to get specific. Now, moon is easy to do. Just plug in your date of birth and you'll find out, you know, and where you were born and what sign the moon is in. So, and there will be a picture of a moon saying where it is. So your rising sign really, though, does depend on your time of birth. And you'll actually normally see the ascendant line. It's like if you look at your astrology chart and you've got your, you know, you've got basically your X and Y axis here. This here, the left side, the left of the x-axis, that is your rising sign. Silent Rain asks, how do you confront a situation where a friend is in a relationship where they know they are being used / misled but go back for more anyway? How do you support them without enabling them? It seems like everything I do just pushes them back into their controller's arms. And I'm not the only one who notices. We work at the same place and they're starting to really screw up. Her father, her sister, both are wondering what's changed, and she's starting to become very distant from everybody. I'm worried she thinks she can't do anything because this guy has basically taken over her life and is controlling her with things like money and trying to make her a servant. Yeah, this sucks. Well, I think that if they keep going back for more, if your friend keeps going back for more, then she's definitely got to face two things. An inadequacy issue and a codependency issue. Because one of the things that's going on here that we have to look at is that there is a certain part for her that is making it seem like this is okay, like this is all worth it in the end, like maybe this guy will stop being controlling in the end. Now this sounds like a cycle of, of gross control issues, because almost always when a person is in a codependent relationship, whether it's romantic, family, business, doesn't matter, when they're in a codependent relationship like that and power is being held over, like money, the friends, the family, they do get isolated, and all of a sudden this becomes like, if I can't save this, if I can't make this work, then I'm nothing. In order to get in contact, and make sure that she knows that there's something up and that she can do better, take the it's me against the world or it's us against the world out of it. We can't attack him if we're trying to help her. Because I'm going to tell you right now, all of the self-help stuff, and the personal empowerment stuff, and the no regret stuff, and the take care of yourself stuff, and all of that, she knows them too. Okay, we can't go into it with inspirational, motivational speaking. Everything you think you're going to say to her, or everything you think some great teacher's going to say to her, believe me, she heard that teacher already, she's read that book, and that's what she's telling herself. So she knows exactly what to tell herself to stay in a situation. Which reminds me, I need to do a video, about the difference between lifestyle and mindset, and where mixing those can cause a problem, because this looks like this might also be an issue with that. That might sound antithetical right now. Now, if this is a situation where you are afraid that she is physically in danger, you need to talk to her about getting some serious help and talk to her family about doing an intervention. However, if this is not an issue with physical abuse, which you have not mentioned, thank goodness, I think that what you need to do is really talk to her about her inconsistency, and talk to her about where she might be again in a codependent relationship that she doesn't know she's in. Deep down, I think that she might have a lot of pride invested in whether or not this works with this guy. And maybe she thinks she can change him. Maybe she can, this time, it's failed forever, but this time I'm going to make it work, and I'm going to... Anyone who doesn't believe in me, anyone who doesn't support me, well, they weren't my friends anyway. But, from the outside we can look at it and be like, look, I'm not going to support you getting drunk when you're an alcoholic. So we've got to really look at it that way, but at the same time, don't attack. Really kind of make her face the efficacy of the situation, and maybe actually see if she can see her own patterns and be like, okay, look, we're not telling you to leave the guy. We have to wait on that. We're not telling you to walk away or break up with him, but we are telling you to take a good hard look at yourself and see how much this is really taking, and how much it's really costing you. It's costing you your friend, your sister, your dad, your job, and God knows what else. Then obviously we've gotten ourselves into a place where we're ashamed and we're too proud at the same time. Now you don't have to say it that way, we have to be more diplomatic, but she has to realize what you're telling her. But don't let her get conveniently distracted by the naysaying about this glorious thing she's working on, because that always pushes them back. El Saber asks, hi there fellow Virgo. Quick question, how do you create your videos, and what software or tool do you use? Okay, well thank you. I use Adobe Premiere Pro and Adobe After Effects and Adobe Illustrator. I'm not a fanboy, I just got the package. And my editor, I have an editor who does my weeklies for me. He's a friend of mine. So he does that, same programs, and then I do all the astrology ones, like the daily astrology, the monthly astrology. I used to do the tarot, but I got too busy. And so I've got a standard green screen, and I've got all that kind of stuff. But what I'm doing with those, yeah, those are the programs that I use. I like those the best. When it comes to generating backgrounds, you know, and things like that, I actually create my own backgrounds. I don't go and like download them. I will go find a still or take a picture or see if I can use a picture like a landscape or something my friend had on Facebook. And what I'll do is I'll create a light animation or a little light show in After Effects, and then I'll actually put that onto the still so it looks like an animated background when it's not. But I like it because there's a lot more texture. It's a lot different than somebody doing just a CGI animated background of a bunch of like weather and stuff. This is like a real picture of a real thing with real lighting effects, so it looks almost more real time. I could go into detail about that on probably another video, but yeah, I'm not quite sure. That's how I create my videos, I guess. Hopefully that makes sense to you. If there's anything else you want to know about that, I'd be happy to kind of go into some tutorials and things like that maybe sometime. So guys, that's it for questions this week. Hopefully, you know, if you guys want to ask a question, come back to next week on the 19th. I'll be doing a live Q&A session. Be there at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, and we are going to have a really good time and a really good talk. And if you can't make it and you just want a question answered on the next video one, put a comment below or tweet at me at ScarletMoonNico. If you're not following my Twitter, you should. Or get a hold of me on the Scarlet Moon Facebook page. I'll talk to you later.